address the very questions or the very challenges in the very context of the school. That's why kids don't find education relevant. You have to somehow force them to stay in school, hence the 4 Ps program. No, and the skills that we derive from schools may not really be portable skills. No, so if you read literature, I'm a fan of literature. I initiated the production of audiobooks and literature. But if the teacher is unable to demonstrate how the skills you have in a literary course might be portable to the very context you're in, then that education might have failed. No, so you have all sorts of aspects in making innovation. The products, as I said, it could be about uh, educational technologies that address digital literacy. As I said, you cannot do digital literacy if there are no computers, no, if there are just no tools for digitization. You cannot do skills if they are not really digital skills, if they are not really taught or they're not being demonstrated. No, we have schools where computers are just being shown as opposed to being used. No, we could talk about process as an important aspect of innovation, or as a product you have to develop. No, I work with industrial engineers, and industrial engineers would hammer the point of process. We think of products as a magical, somehow as a magical outcome, but unless you have a process that ensures quality products, you will not have quality outcomes, right? So many of our instructional activities are really about didactics, who, what, when, where, and root memorization, and they're not really about problem solving. No? So we get to that part where our processes are very much driven by problems as opposed to root memorization. We have a problem with educational model. It is on credentialism. No, so we value credentials, PhD, and I have nothing against PhDs. People who have advanced degrees, yes, they're important, but in some work or in some tasks that I see, it's probably more relevant when we are able to discern from CVs of there's a badge system that says, oh, the guy is good in welding and at the same time aviation, so that we could create a vehicle to space, no? As opposed to credentialism, like I have a PhD in physics or applied physics, but then if it's not really clear what the skills that are the skills that accompany such advanced degree. No? So we're also talking about design. As I said, our instructional designs maybe are really irrelevant. No, they are really about assessing wrong competencies. So if you have an exam and these are really true or false exams or filling in the blanks, multiple choice, you are just simply doing simple recall and not really demanding from the students being able to demonstrate. No, and I cannot overemphasize the need for demonstrate. I joke in our lab a mantra in MIT, and I hope I those with mental health issues might take this with a grain of salt. The mantra at MIT is that demonstrate or die. Now, if you cannot demo something, you better shut up. So I think that's the kind of design we should be demanding from our schools, instructional design anyway. That should not be testing or assessing the wrong competencies like root memorization, right? Our exams are designed for cheaters, no? So we make sure, of course, exam integrity is important, but maybe we're measuring the wrong competencies in our exams, in our evaluation instruments, no? So that's quite a challenge for us as well. If you look at the overall education market, we have so many people who are advanced or pursuing degrees in universities, but are they really what we need, no, as Quezon City or as a country? No, the problem there is that you have advanced degrees but may not have the requisite requirements. I've been running internship labs for quite some time, many years already. and I could see the huge gap between the training in school and what the industry requires or what the industry needs. And so the industry would be spending a lot of resources training or conducting more training to fresh graduates. And what's really disturbing me, at least in computing space, as when they change curriculum, we recently have interns who are unable to code. So not unlike people who have have been admitted in college, I mean, yeah, in high school rather, who are still non-readers, no? So it's quite alarming. That's why we really say that this is an education crisis, no? So you have to make the connection between your product and the end indicators of social participation, capacity building, and people having trust in your design and in the market. No, so I will leave this slide for now, lacking details, but perhaps in the Q&A we can address them. No, so we go back to this slide, which I tend to reuse a lot lately, and see how, in fact, our novel ideas, our prospects for innovation would really have to go out there and be tested and see if it reaches a point of efficiency. Otherwise, most of these are really bound to fail. And that's natural. So you just have keep on innovating until there's something that's going to succeed and solve our immediate pains. Thank you very much for having me this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Dr. C. That was very well detailed and informative. You know, I'd like to specifically thank you for encouraging all of us to, think about being an active part of the innovation space. Although you mentioned that, innovation is not for the faint-hearted. There's a lot of research work that needs to be done, due diligence, right? But at the end of the day, being able to, make a difference in the lives of others, that's very fulfilling. So I hope this is something that everyone here today will start pondering on. Let's be part of this great space. Thank you, Dr. C. Now, before we entertain questions, let's proceed to hear the presentation of our next speaker, Mr. Kevin De La Cruz. Mr. De La Cruz has been working in the development sector for 10 years, assuming various roles as a social entrepreneur, government consultant for livelihood and education, a lecturer in enterprise development, and a program development manager. Currently, he is the Entrepreneurship and Incubation Manager of the Innovation for Social Impact Partnerships, which is a joint program of the United Nations Development Program and PhilDev Foundation. He is also the co-founder and lead consultant of Strago Solutions Consulting, working with clients coming from both the public and private sectors, focusing on development, sustainability, and management. Likewise, he was awarded by Meg Magazine as one of the 30 under 30 youth movers and achievers of the Philippines in 2013. He was also one of the finalists of the ASEAN Startup Awards 2020 as the Startup Ecosystem Hero of the Year. Wow. Currently, he is also taking his Master's in Public Management at the Ateneo School of Government. Welcome, Sir Kevin.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So thank you very much, Ms. Rachel, for the introduction. And again, a pleasant afternoon to all of you who are here. So thank you for coming here to think of not just learn innovation, but being open to think of new ways on how we can bring this essential service forward to not just students, not just the young populace, but even, of course, those who needed education. If we look at it in the perspective of lifelong learning. Okay, so again, same as Professor C. I also live in Quezon City, so I'm actually from Cubao, so I'm very near the City Hall, and I've been living in Quezon City since birth. Kaya I have high malaki ang taya ko dito sa ating lungsod, no? So in a way, I am also very concerned, no, of siguro of how we can further develop, no, our city's capacity, no, to really improve its provision, no, to more and more, no, of its stakeholders. Yan. So on my end, actually, I've in the local government, I've also been volunteering as a consultant for its livelihood development arm. So, and I've done some researches on social enterprise development. Na with the way I see it, no, a lot of opportunities has now been opened to different residents, yan, to different communities in terms of improving its access to finance, access to business opportunities. But of course, no, before we can even talk about access to finances and opportunities, no, it's important that we have the baseline, and it's education. Because education definitely, no, it's not just an exercise of having people to graduate or having people to learn new things, no, through information sharing, but also, no, it actually forms the identity of an individual, of a citizen, no, to be more involved in society or in nation building. So that's the critical role of education, because really it guides everyone, no, in terms of knowing how can one contribute to the society per se. So now let me um, get my slides. Sige. Do you have my slides?
Hold on.
Sige. Yeah. So while the slides are being prepared, no, so I'm actually working for PhilDev Foundation. So kanina, no, very impressive yung frameworks na pinakita ni Professor C. For me, that's very specific, no, on not just the how innovation works, no, in the context of the public sector in social development, but also, no, how can where are our entry points? No, how can we enter into the picture so that we can develop relevant innovation? So in my case, no, I'll be presenting more of some insights and experience in field dev, in the way we are working with our universities to develop innovations there. Because in Field Dev Foundation, it is actually a nonprofit organization that aims to enable success in universities, in entrepreneurs, so that we're able to alleviate poverty. Okay, we want to lessen poverty by hopefully, no, developing more startups, improving the capacity of universities to enable innovation. So that's our work, and we've been doing this for the past 10 years, no, as a foundation. In my case, I've been 1.5 years in the foundation, but of course, no, the pandemic enabled me to be exposed in all the programs of field dev because of its more virtual way of rendering. Actually, hindi lang more virtual, purely virtual way of rendering its services. Okay, so let me now share, no, my insights on co-creating a better future for education. All right, so I'll be sharing 3 insights. No, so this will be very quick. No, 3 insights that we have learned in field dev as we continue to conduct trainings on incubation management with universities around the Philippines. Also, working with the faculties so that they're able to render they're able to, well, no, teach or actually run their courses in a way that the students are motivated to develop, to contribute, no, to contribute to researches, to also make sure that the researches can be brought forward, no, to actual implementation. Okay, so let me start with my first insight. All right. Ayun, nawala. Okay. Okay, so first insight is, okay, there. Schools are sources of well-researched ideas. This is very evident. talking about schools, no, that of course in the context of us being part of the education system, definitely we have been developing a lot of projects. I mean, students, no, have activities that will enable them to not just develop outputs for for them to meet the grade, but also outputs that are related to a specific problem in the society, be it a company problem, let's say a business case, or we're talking about an institutional concern, let's say a feasibility study, or if we talk, even if we talk about it in an experimental perspective, such as the sciences. Even the sciences, no, we actually base our projects in the context of what's happening outside. And when you talk about the context of outside, no, it's immediately outside our communities. So normally when we say business plans, we are creating business plans for a possible venture to be organized in Quezon City. Or let's say to actually measure the the potability, no, of the water, no, or the acidity rather of water um, in the community. We're talking about the acidity of water in, let's say, a community in Quezon City. So definitely, no, schools are places wherein we have researches that can be applied, okay, for in improving governance or as solutions, no, for community problems. So next. So to support this insight, okay, each academic unit can be consultants for improving local systems. If we look at it in a systemic approach, no, we can say that, okay, we normally engage, we only develop solutions because we want to meet the grade. And the highest ranked one will enable us to get an A. So that's a good goal, yes, no, for students. But if we extend it, no, so much so that the actual researches that are developed in classes as exercises can become platforms for consultancy. Because in the end of the day, no, the problems that are being solved by such researches can actually improve local systems. So let's say this pandemic, no, if we're talking about the future of education, I mean, how can we improve our virtual platforms? So let's say if we tap our computer engineers, computer scientists, if there are innovations that can make it easier, no, for students to learn, to actually have to communicate and to collaborate, no, why not apply it? No, why not apply it directly given the local context? No, so there's so much potential for consultancy, and maybe, no, it will eventually empower students as well, because they see themselves as mere students, but in the end of the day, they can be they can already be experts in the field. They might have yet to complete a degree, but as young as they are, as young learners as you are, you can already become consultants because it's a blind spot by the institution that's supposed to handle that concern. Okay, next. Okay, students and teachers have been experiencing the challenges themselves. So I would like to take a look at this in the context of education, because if there are if we're talking about the best people who can solve the problem of education, it's the one who's in it. Okay, so it's definitely the students who are experiencing this this virtual setup, the teachers who are trying to run courses the best possible way. No, they're doing their best to teach their lessons. So in a way, through their experiences, by actually through self-reflection, by using empathy, how are we able to design an a more inclusive, no, learning system? So by just reflecting on the challenges themselves. Okay, because when you look at in our case, no, in PhilDev, no, whenever we ask our university partners around the Philippines, they always tell that mano-mano system, meaning when we developed our own processes, at first it's mano-mano. We ask ourselves, no, how can we best deliver the courses to the students? Yung iba, they really stuck with modules. Others, no, they're focused on improving their websites so that it can be more interactive with the students and amongst teachers, no. So in a way, no, through crisis, no, through these challenges, no, they're able to innovate on their own to deliver the best services. So maybe we should listen to more of these teachers, no, and students who have been developing these smaller innovations that will eventually influence our future platforms. Next. Okay, pedagogy can be shifted towards developing extension projects because in the end of the day, since schools are sources of ideas, experiences in delivering curriculum, in approaches in teaching, maybe we can start extending, maybe it's like inception, we are actually extending ways, changing our curriculum for the changes in curriculum. Meaning, since we're talking about education improvement, in a way, even within the process of changing education, it also needs some research on our end. So if we can, let's say, shift our ways, instead of them just memorizing their lessons, maybe think of ways on how their learnings, their projects can be applied to basic education. Let's say, okay, maybe your next project will be focused on developing this app or developing this this technology, for easier communication between teachers and students. So it's important to really bridge research and extension because again, schools are sources of well-researched ideas. Okay, next insight. Still have 5 minutes. Okay, insight number 2. Incubators can implement the lean approach and innovation. So so when you talk about schools having a lot of ideas, researches, how do we apply them? Okay, so in PhilDev, we've conducted incubation trainings. We've also helped universities set up their incubators. Why is that so? Because in specifically in science and engineering, there's so much research. And some of them actually have potential to be made into a startup. Some of them can be adapted by the local government so that it can be mainstreamed. It can be mainstreamed in their processes. They can actually improve it for the use of community. So even in the education system, there's so much to incubate. And when we talk about the lean approach, it means that it's okay to fail. Okay, failing per se, we can say that sayang naman ang budget for that. But when you talk about the lean approach, we're talking about failing even in the smallest prototype. We're creating products because we want to prototype them. We want to test if it will work. We're not going to release the full budget for that research to develop a large prototype. We're going to make a small prototype that can be tested so that we can learn what's the best model for making education inclusive or depending on the problem, So that's what incubators do. Okay, so next. So incubators have programs that enable rapid ideating and prototyping. So I myself, I'm a graduate of an incubator in UP. So I've developed a website that will make food more accessible for wala pang Grab nun, but I was already thinking of how can we bring organic food to more people. So that was way back 2009, 2010. So we incubated, we started developing the website, and I didn't pursue that eventually, but when we started, we planned for it, but it's important for us to see how we see a structure of our plans materializing. Even in the early phases of planning, we're seeing it being tested already. So that's what the incubators do. Next. They encourage students and researchers to be involved in solution building. So it excites us a lot, actually. It's more, not just engages us in, it doesn't engage us intellectually only, but also emotionally, because we are becoming more passionate about, wow, we're not just doing this to make the grade, we're doing this to build a solution for our community. Next. And they provide support in the space for continuous improvement or Kaizen. So whenever we talk to incubators, we're asking them to not be too directive in their approach. It's very important for them to allow the students and the teams in the incubator to continue to cultivate their ideas and for them to share their needs for support. And I hope no for in developing that new innovation, no, we're able to continue to have that mindset there. Next and lastly, final insight, the academe can be a center for development innovation. So I've talked about students having ideas, incubators becoming a structure for innovation, but looking at it in a bigger perspective, academe is not just a place for researches, it's not just a place for learning, but a space wherein we can brew the future. Okay, so future developments. So next, the discipline of research and the commitment of the team in producing validated conclusions can be helpful for the public sector in generating feasible options, because definitely the students have time. I mean, yes, they are making the grade, but in order to make the grade, they have to endure, okay, 2 semesters for research. And given, let's say, a six-month timeline, no, or even more, they're given that certain commitment to focus on that solution, on building a solution for that challenge. So the discipline of it and the commitment, no, will be helpful to generate feasible options. Because the reason why, no, I worked before in the government, and one of the reasons why it's difficult sometimes, no, to develop innovations, because there's so much in my plate. I can't focus. So through collaboration, no, it will be great, no, if we can partner, no, in developing that next innovative response. Next. Okay. Next, youth can be tapped to work for local development through research partnerships. Okay. And next, ideas can be enhanced through constant feedback made by the members of the sector. Because definitely, no, we look at the lean approach, always releasing the product, getting feedback, improving based on it. So you can actually get that feedback, no, from the many experts, professionals in the schools, even the students, even the public who are, of course, no, who are part of the research. Let's say if you release a survey or conduct focus group discussions with the technology, the schools can actually analyze it with the public sector partner. So there. So that's a lot. There's a lot of potential in working with the academe. Next. So there, no. So in field dev, no, the reason why in our approach, no, in our last project, which concluded 2 months ago, okay, we are saying that okay, in our innovation for social impact project, no, we can say that okay, yes, we wanted the entrepreneurs to develop their capacity. We wanted to engage government to develop policies to help the entrepreneurs, but it's very crucial that the academe will be involved here. Okay, because in any innovation generation, no, it's important to not just develop, no, future knowledge, future innovations, but also develop the future generation. So there. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sir Kevin. Thanks to Phil Dev for the good work also. You made it sound very exciting. It's true, there is really so much to incubate. No, and I guess it applies here, diba? We have a saying, failure is not an option. But I guess here it is, especially like what Dr. C mentioned earlier also, na as long as we make the real mistakes as soon as possible, then it's good. And you mentioned that, we should really strive to build the bridge between research and extension, because at the end of the day, the students are not just doing projects for the sake of submission, but the goal is to, build systems for the community. So thank you very much for that very encouraging share. Now, let's proceed to another exciting part this afternoon. So we will have our short guided activity in small groups. I'd like to call in Doc Elmer once again to give us instructions.
Hello, good afternoon. So for the next 15 minutes, we'll have a quick, short activity to, no? So futures thinking activity to will expose you over the next 15 minutes. So sabi nga ni Sec Briones, there's a need for more secure adaptability. The future's thinking in education will prepare the education system on the challenges and opportunities for the years ahead. No? Galing to so kay Sec Briones. So ngayon, for the next 15 minutes, may activity tayo. We will put you in small groups. Okay, so I'm warning you, huwag kayo magulat, huwag kayo ma-shy. No? Magkakaroon tayo mabilis na talakayan. Okay? Ano ba tong futures thinking? No? Parang binoculars yan na pag ginamit mo yung futures, yung binoculars, mas makita mo, matatanaw mo yung malayo. No? And mahalaga yun, di ba, pag usaping 2050, naku, ang layo pa niyan. No? Pero ang tanong ay, pagdating ng 2050, where do we want to be? No? Parang ngayon 2021 pa lang, pwede na natin pag-usapan kung saan ano yung gusto natin marating by 2050. No? Pwede rin naman hindi. No? Pwede lang lakad lang tayo ng lakad, no? Year after year after year, na hindi natin pinapag-usapan, teka muna, saan ba tayo pupunta? Saan ba natin gustong pumunta? No? Ang daming pwedeng mangyari, pero ano yung pwede natin gawin para marating natin yung gusto natin marating? Okay? Ito isang picture ng, kung hindi natin tinitignan yung pangmatagalan na consequences, baka tayo rin mag-suffer, no? Sa mga ginagawa natin o hindi natin ginagawa. Ngayon, ang futures thinking na nabanggit ni Secretary Briones ay hindi panghuhula. No? Iba yung panghuhula na titingnan yung palad natin o titingnan yung baraha. No? Yung gagawin natin for the next 15 minutes will be a technique na mas scientific. No? So kung sa siyensya, makita natin yung paano natin tatanaw yung future, kung sa weather, may weather forecast, may satellite imagery, kahit na 3 year, 3 araw pa, kung minsan 1 linggo pa lang ahead, nalalaman na natin kung may bagyong parating. No? Kung minsan hindi natutuloy, kung minsan natutuloy, merong probability na mangyari o hindi, pero may paraan ng pag-forecast ng weather. No? Sa agriculture, pag may tinanim ka, may aanihin ka. No? So alam mo na pag nagtanim ka ng bigas ngayon, sa loob ng ilang buwan, may aanihin ka. No? Or kung mangga, baka 5 taon o 10 taon, may aanihin ka. So there are ways of planting the seeds of the future today. No? So yung mararating natin by 2050, sa totoo lang, pwede na natin simulan itanim ngayong 2021 pa lang. Pero paano yung ginagawa? Okay, so we will introduce to you one technique. Itong technique na to, hindi natin to natutunan nung nasa school tayo. No? Medyo bago pa lang tong technique na to. It's used for planning, especially during periods of uncertainty. And ang isang technique na ito, ang tawag ay scenario-based planning. Okay, scenario-based planning. Na ang short way of explaining it, para itong dula. No? Parang skit. Okay? So magiging mapaglaro tayo for the next few minutes. Imagine natin so we will be putting you in breakout groups of 10 people. No? Lahat tayo teachers. No? 90% natin dito kapwa DepEd teacher natin. No? Okay? So imagine nyo na lang. So skit ito for the next 15 minutes. Imagine nyo na 2050 na, no? Umabot na ng taon 2050 at nag-reunion tayo, no? Tapos may 2 scenarios tayong gagawin.
Ano yun? Bangay pusa!
For the first 7 minutes, magkakamustahan tayo. Tapos kunwari 2050 na, nag-reunion tayo, you'll be in your small groups of 10, no? Tapos kunikwento ninyo yung scenario A, 2050 na kay ganda, no? Pag tinignan niyo yung mga public schools natin sa Pilipinas, wow, napakaganda, ang daming pagbabago, yung technology, yung methodology, yung ganyan-ganyan, no? Napakaganda. Nangyari na, kwento nyo na lang, no? Kunwari meron kayong balikbayan na kasama sa grupo na for 30 years wala sa Pilipinas at kwento nyo yung napakagandang nangyari sa public schools from 2021 hanggang 2050. Nangyari na, kwento nyo na lang. No? So hindi to planning, hindi nyo kailangan mag-isip ng budget. Nangyari na, kwento nyo na lang. Do that for 7 minutes. Okay? Paki-screenshot nyo na lang to para alam nyo yung guidelines. No? After 7 minutes, mag-shift kayo to scenario B. No? Sa scenario B, by 2050, parang walang nangyari. Hindi umusad, hindi nag-move on. No? Nung naiwan, nung balikbayan, no? Umalis siya nung 2021, pagbalik niya ng 2050, parang ganun pa rin, pumunta siya sa public schools, parang walang pinagbago. Okay? So, for the next 7 minutes, from 303 to 310, scenario A, ang ganda-ganda nangyari. From 310 to 315, ang pangit niyo nangyari. Okay? So yun yung gagawin natin for the next 15 minutes. We'll be putting you in small breakout groups. Tapos mag-discussion kayo in your small group. No? Ngayon, madalas nagkakahiyaan tayo. Huwag na kayong magkahiyaan. Okay? Magsalita na lang kayo, magpakilala kayo sa isa't isa quickly. And then gawin nyo na yung scenarios. Okay? So I'll put you in small breakout groups ngayon. Mag-discuss na kayo quickly and then babalik kayo dito. Paki-accept nyo na lang yung invitation to the breakout group and then we'll bring you back in by 3:20. Okay? So huwag kayong magkahiyaan, magtalakayan kayo kagad. So paki-accept nyo lang yung invitation ninyo to the breakout groups para makapasok kayo. Meron kayo natanggap na invitation to join breakout groups, press nyo lang yung accept. Tapos kung konti lang kayo, proceed lang kayo. Kahit 2 o 3 lang kayo, magkwentuhan na kayo. Yung mga naiwan dito, i-accept nyo lang yung invitation to the breakout group para maka-join kayo sa talakayan. Nasa breakout groups na yung mga iba, yung mga nandito pa, join na kayo dun sa breakout groups. I-accept nyo lang para maka-join kayo sa talakayan.
Parang nalaglag ako.
Ako din, ma'am, nalaglag ako.
Nalaglag ako.
Paano bumalik?
Ayun nga
Nawala
po,
ako
wala
doon.
pang sa room, breakout room.
Room
4
10 po
tayo,
ako.
sir?
Hello.
Anong
Hello.
room ata yun sa akin?
Nalaglag
Nawala ako.
po
From
eh.
room 10 ako. Medyo nawala ako. So, sino po yung
Opo,
mga
kami naman po ay room
Okay,
4
babalik
po.
namin kayo back sa group, sa rooms niyo.
Apo, ako ba
Sa
sir
group
sa
namin,
room 4 po?
salamat po.
Thank you. Thank you.
Room 20 pala ako.
So yung mga naiwan dito, i-accept nyo lang yung invitation doon sa group discussion, breakout groups, para makapag-participate kayo sa talakayan.
Isaksak na biligoy. Okay, kumukuryente ka. Ala. Kadena
Hi, welcome back everyone. Kamusta ang inyong mga discussion? I was able to join a group. Ang ganda ng discussion namin. Very enlightening. So, I hope you guys had fun. Well, we have time to be discussing, entertaining questions. So, I'd like to call back in our speakers earlier, Dr. C and Sir Kevin. I'll just throw in a couple of questions, and guys, please comment in the chat box if meron kayong gustong itanong, or I'm giving you the opportunity to raise your hands and speak out during the session. We will turn on your microphones so you can ask your questions. But sige, I will start off with our first question na lang, kay Dr. C and Sir Kevin. What measures can we do this coming school year in order to start futures thinking among our students?
Okay. For me, no, it's a matter of number one is what are the what are the present challenges that you have? You recognize kasi yung status quo. You have to see kasi before we can even think of what future we want, no, at least we want to see the specific improvements na yun nga, no, from this point to that point, no. So we have to identify those first, no. So what are the gaps and the challenges in the system right now that we think, no, can be improved, not just improve to serve us better, but that can be innovated, no, so that yun nga, it will not be a concern, hindi siya yung magre-recur na concern in the future. Yan. Then second is perhaps how do we make education more inclusive? Given the inaccessibility, if we're talking about the internet connection, yan, palaging ganun yung binabanggit no. So
Agree.
how do we make it more education more inclusive digitally? Yan. Sa ngayon digital, but we hope we can go in yung next part of discussion is digital inclusion and stakeholder inclusion na PWDs, talking about indigenous groups, no? So how do we bring education and consider developing materials for them in the future? So
thank you, Sir Kevin. Ang ganda. I mean, let's look at the big picture as early. Thank you. Doc Peter, you have anything?
Siguro pag more conscious effort to use certain future-oriented tools, no? Tingnan halimbawa yung depende sa klase, no? But for on personal level, siguro psych or so kung sa basic education yung mga essays would be about personal future-oriented projects. So yun, tapos yung mga high school, they are already introduced to some rudimentary project management concepts, yung notion of risk being incorporated dun sa mga projects natin. So ganun, but we have to have greater detail dun sa mga courses, so they can be designed more consciously to be future, impact oriented, context sensitive, no? Yun ang kulang sa atin kasi when we make abstractions, it's to the detriment of the context we're in usually, no? So yun ang nakita kong deficiency sa mga educational approaches natin, no? Ilan in a way, in addition of course to what Sir Kevin said.
Yeah, that's very nice. And I like yung you mentioned that it all has to start with, sparking interest in these young students. So, diba, start with asking them to write about it. So, pag nag-spark ang interest niyan, dyan naman nagsisimula yung mga big dreams. Thank you, sir. How might DepEd teachers work with university incubators to enhance futures thinking and innovation among DepEd students? So how might the teachers work with the university incubators to enhance this futures thinking and innovation? Any suggestion?
Encourage multidisciplinary conversations. So if there are, let's say, siguro kasi yung perspective no, na choose a course, di ba? Even though you're in the basic education system, the perspectives, okay, when you go to college, no, you choose a profession, which is okay. I mean, that's a good mindset, but it should not restrict them to focus only on what they want. Meaning, try to, siguro, hopefully, no, as young as they are, let's say high school, no, magkaroon ng perspective na maybe in the future, no, you are yet, let's say, studying engineering, but you're open to learning psychology, you're open to learning, let's say, the sciences as well, no? So different disciplines, so that when they're developing these projects, no, they will think differently. Na they will not just consider this is the contribution of my discipline, but also melding other perspectives as well. So yeah.
Thank you, Sir
So-
Kevin.
Yeah. I'm going to put it in the chat. This is going to be a masagwa word, pakinggan, but I have the concept of labs isn't a monopoly. I mean, does not just belong to universities. Pwede po natin yung i-apply sa mga basic courses. I've seen this in Scandinavian countries. You can have a concept lab, you can have a literature lab. Basically, making your design more project-based, more outcome oriented. Matagal na akong hindi nagpa-exam. Halimbawa, at least in my case as a teacher, I'm more interested in projects that are able to demonstrate and integrate the lessons, no? Yung themes namin at saka yung mas direct application pa sa context kung saan yung mga bata. So I think more of that lalo na sa K-12, no? Whether it's gonna be robotics or araling panlipunan, that kind of range, no? That range.
Yes. And thank you, Doc Peter. I think that's very nice na, we're focusing on the big things, pero wag natin kaligtaan yung mga, the smaller details. Siguro I'd like to call in si Lourdes. She is in our audience. She might want to share something na yun nga when I mentioned na let's address the smaller details para mas madali tayo focus on the bigger things. Lourdes, is
Hello
your
po.
mic on?
Good afternoon po.
Hi.
I'm teacher po sa Paracali National High School. So one of our problems po is yung maraming nakakarating ng high school na mga non-readers and non-numerates din po, yung mga hindi pa rin po marunong mag-times or mag-class. Kasama na po yun sa problems na nakakarating sa amin. I believe po hindi lang po dito sa Camarines Norte ang may ganitong problema. I believe it is nationwide po na marami pong nakakarating sa high school na non-reader and non-numerates since po na mag-start po yung mass promotion na nangyari po sa K-12 program. So this is one of the problems po na sana po ay ma-address ng DepEd specifically, na sana po ay wala naman na sanang makarating sa high school na mga non-reader. Yun po. And non-numerates po. Kasi po kung nag-uusap po tayo ng sa future, kung yung mga basic problems po na kagaya nito na dapat high school po expected natin higher competencies na po ang ating ituturo sa kanila, pero sa high school po nagpapabasa pa po kami. So imbis po na other competencies po ang ituturo namin sa kanila, nagpapabasa pa po kami. So sad to say po, nangyayari po itong totoo, hindi lang po dito sa Camarines Norte, but in other parts of the Philippines po.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, Lourdes. Sir Kev, Doc Peter, if there's anything that you want to say, just please go ahead.
Yeah, problema talaga yan. It's a serious, that's why I really opened my discussion about education crisis that not that many would really acknowledge, no? But makikita mo yung mga frontliners natin sa basic education, they can attest to this. No, I go around the rural areas. Ito talaga yung napakalaking problema. Complex problem siya actually, but isa sa mga nakikita kong part of the basket of solutions, kumbaga, to really make education be about, literacy or numeracy be about functional literacy. So may problema konti sa design in some areas na nakikita ko kasi repetition, imitation, okay yun, that can work up to a certain point. But at some other point, kailangan na talaga more functional, no, more problem-based. Kahit na yung pagtuturo natin sa multiplication, division, square root, naka-integrate. Right now, I'm learning Ohm's law by doing buting-ting sa bahay, no? So,
Nice.
mga ganong bagay na sa tingin ko, it's going to be more challenging sa ating mga educators to be more creative. And creativity is something you have to practice. Hindi siya na ituturo eh.
Mhm.
But I agree, merong more merong infrastructural capacity dimensions itong non-readership, non-numeracy problems natin. But sa tingin ko merong creative solutions, no, sa tingin ko na kailangan i-scale, no, more conscious conscious effort on the part of DepEd to really make this happen. Kasi ang mga tao, they're shifting from text-based approach to more video, to more activity, more active kind of instruction. So yun po nakikita natin sa talaga sa mga schools, no, na medyo nakaupo pa masyado, but pwede namang ituro ang literacy, numeracy actively, no? Sabi ko nga just last night I have to revisit Ohm's law to look at the load of my
Nice.
yung mga bagay-bagay dito sa bahay, no? And I realized, for instance, that my electric outlets anyway are over provisioned, no? So meron namang under provision. So you get to ask questions na kahit doon sa bahay mo lang.
Yes.
How much mo sa school na pwede nating i-address yung mga yan. Salamat.
Thank you, Doc Peter. Ang daming magandang questions na pumapasok pa. So let's try to accommodate them. What's your perspective on creating and supporting an innovation orchard in the DepEd, in particular, addressing the funding structures of innovation, physical development space, and talent development pipeline? So he's asking for your insights on Virtual Translation Lab as a digital platform of collaboration from idea to impact.
Okay, so virtual translation lab, no? So how do we translate? Well, it will be good if we directly connect it sa maybe the perspective of professors right now. If we are teachers in running the projects, let's make sure that it will be clear to our students the option that the project has a potential to be bridged for further refinement. Let's say if we want to make an impact with the project, so syempre iba naman, not everyone will be interested, we can say, to develop it further, but hopefully a good percentage of the projects can be the students will volunteer or would want to pursue it further. And yung magiging mindset is the teachers can become mentors for them, even post-project. So there. Yun yung nakikita ko. Very important kasi let's go beyond the confines na we're just here to tell them information or to teach. But we're here to also mentor them in implementing the project in the future. There.
Yes. Thank you, Sir Kev. Rec Eguia, I hope nasagot ni Sir Kevin. Maybe I'll just call on two more. Mga hands raised. I'll call Vilma and si Rex before we finally close. Ladies first. Vilma Sarmiento, do you have any question or just want to share an insight?
Good morning po sa lahat. So yung maganda yung points about the innovation. The problem of our system, our education system is yung budget, di ba? Gusto natin lahat ma-achieve natin, lahat ng technology, even the methodology. So yung resources on the part of the hindi na popondohan siya or maaaring what the words that nagkakaroon tayo ng misfunding eh. Kasi if you want to get the word that innovation, hindi natin makukuha kagad yung innovation eh. We need to make a fund for the teachers para yung teachers makasabay sa technology. At the same time, makakreate tayo ng magandang methodology that would be apply for our learning. So, parang nakikita ko maganda yung yung sinasabi ni Sir Peter no about that. Pero yung resources ang problema eh. Kagaya sa amin sa school namin, maliit lang po yung eskwela namin. How come that we can makisabay dun sa sinasabi natin innovation kung wala naman po kaming magandang resources or wala kaming appropriate resources kagaya ng mga sa kakailanganin ng mga bata. And then at the same time, hindi pa gaano ka-literate. I don't want to say na hindi naman ganun kahina yung system ng school namin, but rather we need to to focus on the part of the teacher na yung kanilang kaalaman, yung kanilang knowledge about the technology dapat po mapataas po natin. And another pa, yung problem po dun sa bata na mga non-reader, non-numeracy, nangyayari po talaga as of now. Sabi nga ni Sir, di ba, complex problem. Paano natin maaayos yun? Siguro, I think, talagang kailangan talaga natin ng katuwang. We need the part of the parents and then even the community and at the same time yung ating school para yung ating purpose na lahat ng mga bata na makakaabot sa high school ay marunong magbasa at saka marunong they can enumerate about about sa mga part na paano magbilang kasi pagdating talaga and at the same time kasi yung makikita kong malaking factor kasi dyan is yung resource at the same time paano natin sa teacher mai-equip sila kasi minsan pasintabi lang, di ba yung mga seasoned teacher na mga medyo bumabata na hindi na po sila ganun kagaling pagdating sa technology. Ano po kaya ang magandang natin gagawin, sir? About that sa mga teacher na talagang takot sila eh. Takot to accept sa technology sa panahon to. Kaya nga po napakahirap po na natin i-apply yung Maganda yung innovation as titignan natin, i-forsake natin 2050, but how come natin ma-achieve kapag yung mga component, yung sa teachers, then yung sa resources, at saka yung mga hindi natin magagawa, hindi natin mapaplano. Yun lang po, sir.
Yeah, I agree with Vilma na meron tayong funding challenge, no? Requirements, no? Overall, the big picture is that education is still underfunded in the Philippines in relation to our GDP, no? But on the other hand, wag niyo pong antayin yon kasi ang innovation ay it can range from zero budget to multi-million or if not billions, no? Be careful with what you wish for kasi pag matambakan po kayo ng malaking funding, meron po tayong challenge sa absorptive capacity, no? Ang malaking funding sa malaki din yung mga requirements sa reportorial at saka yung mga hinihingi, no? Just to show you na hindi kailangan malaki yung funding for innovation. If you get onto, for instance, Uno or Raspberry Pi platform, that's only 1,800. And you can already create robots. You can already create a radio station, a TV station, a library. In my case, I do Wi-Fi accessible libraries, no, sa mga rural areas. Marami po kayong you can demonstrate computing concepts, mapagamit nyo as desktop dun sa Raspberry Pi na platform, no? So marami na pong alternatives ngayon to really use cheap platforms, no? Cheap but nonetheless capable platforms, no? Sa mga rural areas, kahit wala pong Wi-Fi signal, may mga old phones po doon na pwede nating magamit for demonstration purposes. You can even do Android programming, no? Standalone, no? Although that's handicapped by lack of access to internet, but hindi po malayo kung napakasimple lang, no? Ang gusto niyong ipaabot, no? So pag creative po talaga yung ating mga teachers at capable, more of a reflection of what we are capable of doing as opposed to what we have in terms of funding. Sa tingin ko po maraming alternatives to maraming inexpensive alternatives. But just the same, I agree with you na may malaking big picture challenge sa funding, but we don't want that to be an excuse not to innovate, no, not to create solutions. No?
Thank you, Doc Peter. Thank you, Vilma. I want to call in si Rex Tyson.
Good afternoon po. This is addressed to Sir Kevin. By the way, okay po ang audio ko?
Yes, it's very good.
This is addressed to Sir Kevin. Sir Kevin, I really like what you placed on the table kanina, what you laid on the table kanina about schools being sources of well-researched ideas. Ang problem lang, Sir Kevin, over in the past few days, at saka miski noon pa, is the fact that teachers are being looked down upon, mababa daw yung quality. Now, paano po magja-jive yun sa mithiin natin na gano'n na us being sources of well-researched materials kung ang public ay mababa po yung faith, trust, and confidence dahil nga po sa mga politicians. So, sorry sir for putting you on the spot, but what's your take on this? Salamat po.
Okay. Well, my 2 cents perspective on it. Pinapababa, no? Kasi it's impression. I mean, let the outputs do the talking. Yan. Kasi those will only be assumptions unless yun nga, evidence. Evidence, we have students who have ako talaga when we look at the competitions we participated in, the quality of research, let's say not just in the national writing workshops, no, but even the researches we produce. So if for me, maganda na constantly nating i-document, and not just the accolades but even the content of the research, because it will build the confidence of students to continue to develop and contribute. Well, not just the students but even the faculty, na nakikita natin yung bunga ng ating pinaghirapan, no? So I myself kasi I'm an instructor in 2 colleges. So ako talaga, no, when I share information, for me, I look forward to the projects that they will make, that they will present. So doon natin makikita, no, na they will only be assumptions unless yun nga, we have to really prove, no? So let's continue to develop that. Yan. Kasi yun nga, nagiging impression siya, pero in the end of the day, that's not true. Yan.
Maraming salamat.
Rex, thank you, Rex. Thank you, Sir Kevin. Unfortunately, we're pressed for time, so hindi na natin matatawag yung iba. However, feel free to message us, and we promise we will come up with another session when possible. So in the meantime, we will have to say goodbye. Please expect your e-certificates from us. And if there's anything, just follow our Facebook page and send in your comments, questions, suggestions, or recommendations. Again, thank you, Dr. Peter C. and Sir Kevin De La Cruz, for gracing our invite and sharing the inspiration and information to everyone today. All right. Thank you very much to all those who attended. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of the week. Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Ang picture.